If Santa only comes but once a year, what is he doing at Robinson and Cleaver's from late November to Christmas Eve? The child is a smart arse, and he doesn't get it from our side of the family, Granny informed my mum. He does appear to have a logical mind, all right, Mum replied, wrestling the sleeves of my duffel coat up over my school blazer as Granny tightened my scarf, garrote-like, around my neck. Trust you to make us late with your football. And then we all, including my 3-year-old sister, headed for the bus into town. We passed the Strand Picture House. We weren't going to go this Christmas. The apartment, deemed most unsuitable by any adult you cared to ask. Aren't you seeing Santa instead? A rum choice. Only at the pictures do you get Burdakiss popcorn and Kiora orange. Granny refuses to climb all that bloody way up to the top of the bus. So we had to sit downstairs and gaze at the steamed windows while the rain sheeted across them, and while she told my mother, "It's wonderful there's a Catholic in the White House. First time ever. It can give us all hope of better things to come." Mum, asking her to keep her voice down. You never know who's listening. Me thinking she was talking about me. Granny saying, "Never mind the wheest of it. Wasn't that Protestant the most dishonest looking individual?" My mum saying, "We don't live in America." Thinking that would shut Granny up. Nothing ever did. And Granny saying, "Hope is what God created on his day off, and because it is God-given, it has a way of travelling the world for all to benefit from." She didn't actually say, "So there," but somehow I thought she did. Standing in line, with all the chilter of Belfast, queuing up to meet Santa. Wondering why there were kids in shorts and no overcoats, red-kneed, wet-haired in the depths of winter. Being told the poor were always with us, and me staring at them saying I didn't like the poor. And being told there is only one difference between them and us. We, not being poor, had our choices to live as we chose, whereas the poor are told what their choices are. It was to be a very long time before I ever got close to knowing what on earth Granny was going on about. The squealing file of excited faces, my shy sister the exception, were bursting demented with anticipation of meeting not only Santa, but the odd elf and a wooden reindeer or two. This fidgeting column of hope, stretching along the department floors, up each of 3 stairwells to the papier-mâché entrance of Santa's grotto. In less than 10 years, they'd refused to stand in line and take the pinning on their Connolly badges, or tattooing a red hand of Ulster to their necks and bombing 7 bells of shite out of each other. But that was a future, and this was the present. Jingle bells played from somewhere, and Granny wondered if that was Bing Crosby saying the words. "Can't be. He lives happily in America," Mum said. "That's what comes of having a Catholic president," Granny snapped back, beaming. It was as if she'd heard Brendan Behan had taken the pledge. We were all in a procession of hope, and hope brings anticipation and wonder. Not that anyone up to the age of 12 was thinking about that. 2 shillings and 6pence per child to see Santa in the warm carpeted department store. Families numerically were bigger then. The da the breadwinner, earning a £10 note in a week. Sometimes with the poor, the ma would work for pins, whatever use that was. Money was an adult concern. When people my age were caught looking in a purse or a wallet, there was only the cash to see, not the effort to put it there. The singular concern of the jigging queue amounted to what the size of the wrap present might be and what it might contain. A smallish, ginger-headed boy, green snot frozen between open nostril and upper lip, was walking his red frozen knees along the queue. He had the look of the conspirator, informing in his mispronouncing way that to all that would lean in and listen, sanity doesn't exist. Sanity doesn't exist. Some children bawled hysterically at this news, their tears and screams fueled by the agonizing slowness of the queue. Others were calmly told to come away. Your old dog comes in at night and puts your presents under your bed. All sanity is dead. Adult tones queried the whereabouts of Ginger's mother. Granny, peering over the top of her spectacles, proffering, hopefully the little wretch is an orphan. Eventually, a manager from Linen arrives and escorts the urchin, his word, not mine, out through the revolving door, out into the freezing afternoon dark. Glancing down, I see my sister, her bottom lip beginning to tremble. Stoop to her ear, tell her, we're going to see Santa now. Never mind what that wee shite is saying. She tilts her head up, begins smiling her cherub face and repeats, wee shite? Don't ever see that again or I'm done for. And she was off. Wee shite done for. Wee shite done for. Shuffling on, along the square marble pillars, Granny tiring of moving from chair to chair along the long linen counter. She engages a passing woman wearing a measuring tape around her neck. A woman quite important in the furs department. Granny implying that she looked forward to returning in January to talk in depth over stoles and collars of Mongolian fox and blue wolf. This impresses the woman, as she insists on escorting us to the black wrought iron gates of the lift and up and out at the top of the queue for Santa's grotto. Granny pushes us forward, and a man dressed as Santa beckons us in, sits my sister on his lap, slaps a square, thin wrapped package against her chest and says, and is this your brother? Well, we'll not have him sit on my knee. He'll bust my leg, he's so fat. The dear man had obviously not had the opportunity to be introduced to the niceties and sensitivities of Ulster society. The insult easy enough to endure, as I was only a child and was often spoken to directly. That and the fact that it came from a man pretending to be Santa and smelling of both tobacco and beer. Now positioned either side of him for a black and white photo. Me with an oblong present wrapped in green Christmas tree paper. My sister pressing her gift against her with her fingerless snowflake mittens. Flash! Right, next ones. And off we were pushed. Merry Christmas, I suggested, as we were shunted along. What? Oh, aye, right. Granny left us at the bus stop to have a late afternoon sherry with the manager of a very successful sports shop. Apparently in the past he had missed out on her. I had no idea what that meant, nor cared. I was told to stamp my feet if it was cold, for the bus would come in its own time and not for some moaning Minnie. Are you happy now, sis? She nods, and over her eyes falls her knitted red trapper's hat festooned with green woolen balls. A present from an aunt in Canada who lived alone with a heart of gold. It arrived with a stamp that made its way into my The Trusty Stamp album, together with a note from my mum. Sure, and I got it of a size the wee angel can grow into. Xmas greetings, Madge. As my father remarked, Christ, Don'll never fit, unless the child grows a head the size of an elephant. He was only joking, one of his few. But in earshot of my sister, which made her run away to a cot and remain even more quiet than usual. And for a whole day. Me, still frozen afoot, have felt the bogus Santa's present. And knowing what it is, I'm about to impart the knowledge to my sister. Mum springs forward, alerted by her mind-reading skills. Her cold black leather gloves, fur-lined, indent my cheeks so my lips protrude and my eyes open wider. Your sister doesn't want to know. Don't be your granny's smart arse. In a world where you can be anything, be kind. The bus roars up through the icicle sleet, and I steer my temporarily blinded sister up to the top deck, where there is still nothing to see, save the fog from cigarettes, Gallagher's blues, Perfectos, Carol's number one. Everybody smokes, everybody with their preferred brand. Even small children buy Park Drive singly. Poor children, to mimic their parents. We lay out on the living room table a mince pie and a half glass of sherry. A thank you to Santa for any delivery he might be making at the end of our beds when we'd be asleep. We knew he wouldn't get off the roof until we slept and would be back up the chimney before we woke. We make Mum promise to slack up the fire. We don't want him to get roasted in either the coming or the going. Sis and I are removed to bed. The whole house silent. A slow gammon ham percolating on the kitchen cooker. The scent of clove wafting into the hall of hanging coloured paper decorations. A candle flame straining upwards, lighting the door glass for a passing stranger or Santa. He wouldn't want to miss our house. I awake in the dark to fizzling noises, raise onto my elbow and look to see, in the gradual illuminating dark, my sister, an escapee from her high-sided cot, surrounded by deftly opened selection boxes. Her, sucking on a bar from each, first a fudge finger, then a wedge of fries Five Boys, followed by a disintegrating flake, the bottom half of her tiny face hidden with chocolate smear. There would be a moment in the future when the bedroom door would soon open and my father's voice would announce, Christ, you know it's 3 o'clock in the morning. There was only one thing my sister knew about 3. You say it when asked your age. But until that moment came, I look at my sister. She sat up smiling from a base camp of Fort Chocolate. She so glad I had awoken, so glad that she can tell me. Sanity came.